Well, an exciting match in prospect here, because we've seen the kind of performance that Jeffrey Zwaan put in his victory against Peter Hudson. 102 average, 7 darts into the perfect leg. And he's going to have to be somewhere similar to take on a resurgent world number 19, Stephen Bunting, who reached a Pro Tour final towards the back end of last year in Dublin. You may remember Bunting losing to Mensah Suljovic before the World Grand Prix. Also reached the last 16 of the Players' Championship finals. Disappointing for him not to be able to produce on the big stage at the World Championship. Lost out to the brilliant
25
Dimitri van den Berg, who went on, of course, to reach a quarter-final and took Rob Cross to a last leg decider.
Jeffrey to throw first.
This pair met at the Grand Slam of Darts, where Bunting came out on top, but only after Jeffrey Zwaan had... Well, he kept doing all the scoring and missing the finishing. He eventually lost 5-4 to Bunting and didn't end up moving through.
96.
He does lead the head-to-head between this pair, however. This is their 6th meeting, and
59.
The Dutch youngster has won 3 times. And they've met in UK Open qualifiers in 2015 and 2017. A win apiece on those occasions.
134. 140.
But yeah, Stephen Bunting was really struggling. A crisis of form and confidence for the
54.
Former Lakeside champion. And he seems to have battled his way back, and it's great to see. Made the decision to go back to his old style of darts.
44.
And towards the back end of last year, he was really making good progress a lot of the time on the Pro Tour.
60.
But he may well have run into an inspired man today. Well, let's see if Zwaan can carry on where he left off in the opener.
60.
He himself reached a semi-final of a Pro Tour event towards the end of last year.
20.
Can he make further progress here at UK Open Qualifier 1? Or UK OQ1 if you want to abbreviate it and turn it into a hashtag.
Game shot.
And get on Twitter and start to wax lyrical about this young Dutchman, because he's played some fantastic stuff. Many people have tipped him as a
99.
A guy with a big future in the game.
'58. '59. 140. 58.
I mentioned earlier on that Peter Wright got himself in a spot of bother against Brian Woods when he found himself 4-2 down. Snakebite turned it round and won the next 4 legs to knock Pecker out 6-4. Here's a bit of a shock. Andy Jenkins saw off Alan Norris 6-1.
'96. 140. 135. Game shot.
Oh, wonderful stuff from Stephen Bunting. The bullet out on the bullseye. Clean up that 85 and level up.
96. 60. 59.
Further winners then from the second round include Brendan Doyle and Stuart Kellett, who was a late entry into this tournament due to withdrawals. Richard North.
140.
He's seen off Simon Preston, 6-1. Preston, who won one of the Challenge Tour events, held here last weekend.
60. 100. 60.
Bunting having a stab at breaking the throw here. The last start just going wayward. And allowing Zwaan to get himself in a better position, but only one treble required. And he's got that for double 19.
99.
That was a chance. Double 16.
Game shot.
Nailed by Zwaan. So a chance goes begging for Bunting.
$134.
Good cover shooting.
$84.
32 years old now, Stephen Bunting. Of course, he came over to the PDC with something of a fanfare, having won the BDO World Championship title. Moved over as their world champion in 2014.
100.
Following year, made the quarter-finals at Alexandra Palace. He's also been a semi-finalist at the World Grand Prix and the UK Open.
100.
A Premier League player, of course, in 2015.
100.
He's played on all of the big stages in PDC darts. This is a big finish that he doesn't need. He needs a big treble with the last dart because Zwaan is not too far behind in this leg, and if he can fire in a couple of trebles himself, then he can apply the pressure.
60.
Well, the usual route is treble 18. Another one or a single. That'll do. Double 7.
108.
Good attempt. 57 first. Couldn't find the 60.
137.
I'm a fan of that route. Getting rid of the treble 19 with the first dart. Stephen Bunting gets rid of the 14 he needed. 2-2. Good dart that, because it did look obscured, that target.
140.
Zwaan's not sparked like he did in the previous match yet. Is that still to come from him? He does go in little spells of brilliance 85. And then the odd lull too. Well, maybe the moment has arrived to one of his little blitzers. 140 followed by 180. That the first of the match.
80. $97.
He's a very exciting player to watch, very fast, very fluent and fluid.
96.
Well, no need to bother about setting up the bullseye.
68.
Feel that he's almost out of sight in this leg. Famous last words.
140.
Well, he will be if he lands double eight,
Game
and
shot.
that's exactly what he does. To wrestle back the advantage again. 5 consecutive holds of throw.
58.
Jeffrey's only appearance at the PDC World
135.
Championship came in 2016 when he was edged out by the bully boy Michael Smith. The man who's returned to the Premier League this season.
180.
Bunting levels up the maximum count. 1 apiece.
100.
Zwaan in that win he had earlier against Peter Hudson had over half a dozen visits
140.
of over 170.
$59.
And now Stephen Bunting. Well, that's 21 scored, so 102. Just needs to set this up.
91.
And he's done that very nicely indeed. Almost a role reversal from the previous leg.
99. Game shot.
And now we have 6 straight holds of throw. Decent standard, just waiting to ignite.
45.
Just feel if one of this pair can up their game ever so slightly, the match is theirs.
$140. $60.
It's a second round match, but the
100.
third round is taking shape. An interesting scoreline. Shane Burgess has beaten Ricky Evans to move into round 3 today.
87.
He'll take on Robert Rickwood in one of a handful of confirmed third round matches. The others are Robert Thornton against Tony Alcinas, James Wade against Robert Owen, and Daryl Gurney against Nico Bloom. Well, this one all with throw. Neither player seems to be able to just put in a top leg against the dart so far.
Game shot.
And Zwaan denies Bunting the chance to throw a potential pickpocket finish. With a very tidy 76 of his own, and yet again on throw.
180.
Stephen Bunting kicks off very well. Well, he couldn't have kicked off any better.
99.
Now then, Stephen. Well, just underneath. Look very, very inviting. But Zwaan has a chance to get back in the leg with a max of his own. Only a point in it now all of a sudden. And has the maximum from
57.
the Dutchman. Just turned up the heat on Stephen Bunting. Because a treble in this visit, or better,
119.
puts Jeffrey on a much more finishable checkout than the huge 164 that faced Stephen Bunting. So Zwaan will return with a realistic chance to break the throw. 103 in front of him.
140.
A choice to be made. Chooses a 19s route. That leaves him 46, so he's got choices again.
Yeah, 46.
Well, I can only assume that he thought he was going to miss if he didn't know what he had left after hitting the 57, but 6 tops it is.
63.
And the double has been missed, and Stephen Bunting will get the chance to level up once more. Double 12.
Game shot.
And he does exactly that. And it's been slim pickings to try and break the throw, but Zwaan had a real opportunity there. Dart missed at double top. It was wired.
$60. 140.
But it's Bunting, the man who has to break if he's going to win this match, by virtue of the fact that Jeffrey won the bullseye.
61.
303, going for the 19s because a couple of trebles now
99.
would have still put him on a finish. As it is, Bunting can't leave one anyway, even if he had rattled in a max.
60.
So once again, the player with the throwing control of the leg.
123.
And if Stephen Bunting is going to break and win this match, it may well have to be in the very last leg.
$140.
Because he's not even down to a finish in this one. So the 21-year-old looking at double 12.
Game shot.
To complete the 81 combination and move within one leg of victory and a place in the board final, knocking out the seeded player.
96.
Andrew Gilding and Brian Rahman follow up this match, and then we will have the board final between the winner of this and the winner of that before selected matches.
177.
From the last 32 stage onwards. Now the 180 from Zwaan. He has perhaps got a little closer
96.
to Stephen Bunting on his legs than Bunting has to Jeffrey on his. That's why he's ahead in the averages by about 5 points. Around the 97 mark. Zwaan now bullseye the first dart. Doesn't hit the 25, which means he can't go out.
Team side, yeah. $56.
Well, it's not the best visit from Bunting. An opportunity knocks now because 1-2-1 is all that stands between Jeffrey and a place in the board final. 11 for the bull.
96.
And it's do or die then for Stephen Bunting. 76. Only one dart. That double top.
36.
And it couldn't be found. Is there a bit of revenge here for that Grand Slam of Darts defeat?
Game shot.
There is. Jeffrey Zwaan continues his surge through the field today. He's knocked out the seeded player, the world number 19, Stephen Bunting, 6-4 to the Dutchman, and he will take on the winner of our next match, which is Andrew Gilding against Brian Rahman.